So Rap Celtics, do you guys have any thoughts on the series?
Before we get to Rap Celtics, can we just discuss the fact that the bench put on an absolute clinic in that game 4?
Yeah,
Put up 100 points.
that's
Like,
nuts.
There's teams that don't put up 100 points in some games.
I think there were 7 points off from the playoff high, like ever.
I thought they set a record.
Yeah.
No. Of scoring.
Oh, you mean like total points?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was what, 150 to 112 or something like that? Or 121? I know there's a 1 and 2 in there. Like, that's insane. That's domination. You got 100 points out of your bench.
Yeah.
Your bench. They almost beat them single-handedly. To be fair, the bench did include Serge Ibaka, who's a starter
And
most
Norm
of the time.
Yeah.
Norm Powell, who can start most of the time.
Mhm.
So it's a little different. It's not quite the bench, but still.
157 points is the record by the Boston Celtics in 1980.
And that's regulation?
Yep.
Wow.
I think it's including it's including games that went into overtime.
But as a regulation game, 150 points, that's nuts.
Yeah. And it's crazy because the ultimate undoing of this Raptors team will be a lack of like shot creation, and that they don't have like a Jason Tatum or Kemba Walker that you're just like go ISO and go put up a shot. Like Fred is the closest guy that they have to that. So, and that's like what I see as like the major factor in this series. If they can just play good for 46 minutes to a point where the last 2 minutes don't matter, then they're winning this series. Because when it comes to like crunch time, that's the thing that Kawhi brought them, was a go-to guy that you could just put the ball in your hands. And they don't have that right now. Even though Fred, who the fuck knows with Fred? This guy's literally real.
Fred can be that guy.
Like, the Raptors need to pay him, I think, under $26 million in order to preserve cap space. But honestly, like, who knows? He might just straight up get the max, and he might be worth it. Like,
he seems like the kind of guy that would just go get his.
He does, but considering the options that would legitimately give them the max, unless it's Phoenix, it's the Knicks or Detroit. Would you rather take $5 million or more and go there, or be in Toronto, and be the heir to the throne, and be in the playoffs every goddamn year?
If he wins it again this year,
if he wins it again, then it doesn't matter.
He might leave.
But do you care?
At that point, it's just
if you're the Raptors, you don't give a shit.
You have 2 rings. No, but even if you're Fred, like even if you come close this year, like you already have your ring, you've got a newborn kid at home or fresh, like a year-old kid at home. I don't know if you're big, like, let's go play more playoff games.
At that point, it's basically what's his.
I don't know. I think Fred's like
what's his priorities.
Fred is bet on yourself, but he's also like a winner. Like, he's been a winner everywhere he's went. In college and in the pros.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Oh, so I was listening to the Bill Simmons podcast this week. Fresh on Sunday night.
I saw your tweet.
Yeah. And I was like, over under 2 minutes of them talking about the Raptors until they bring up the Celtics.
Mm-hmm.
And it was way over 10 minutes. But the problem was over the 2 minutes, it turned out to be like 6 or 7. And it went from here's the Raptors to if they lose to the Celtics, will they blow it up and trade Pascal for like the second pick in the draft and next year's first round pick from Minnesota, which is a big, like, they're 2 big assets. But why are you blowing it up? Why would you do that when you have designs to sign Giannis? Like, so it'd be Wiggins, the second pick, and next year's futures. Like, Masai hangs up so goddamn quickly, and they came to the conclusion that Toronto would say no. But also, like, why would they even like, that's not even an entertaining thing. Raptors Twitter was up and like their panties were in a wad because it was suggested that someone said that the Warriors could trade the second pick for OG because it would fit like a 3-and-D, which they need. And Raptors Twitter was like, no, they wouldn't do that. And I was like, I love OD, but yes, I would. Like, there's sometimes trades that are just like both sides would say no, and then there's the opposite where like one side is just like they just hang up immediately.
Yeah.
They say with like a grain of salt, well, not even a grain of salt, like a fucking bucket.
Yeah,
a bucket full of salt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to put that out there. I think this series is tough. Like it's I don't see it being any shorter than 6 or 7. I can see a scenario where absolutely the Celtics win. I can see scenarios where the Raptors win. Interestingly enough, Jacob Goldstein, he had a tweet. He has these like analytical projections that he puts out after every playoff game to show the odds of either team winning a series. So like
Mhm.
now that Lillard's been ruled out, the Lakers have a 97% chance to beat.
Go figure.
Exactly. So the Raptors right now have a 62% chance to beat the Celtics.
Without Lowry.
This is with him in and without Hayward. And 38% for the Celtics, which I think it's too high. I think
things
Hayward
don't sound great on the Lowry front.
Lowry said he's playing. Lowry told Alvin Williams he's 99.9% playing.
Really?
Yeah. He said he's fine.
Wow.
So no timetable for return means
The thing is that
they said he was day to day today.
Okay.
Well, yeah, Nurse did, yeah. He just didn't practice that.
I think it looked a little bit worse than what it might be just because, he doesn't come back to the game. But at the end of the day, they were already up like 14, 15 points at the time that he was down. And at the end of the day, if he didn't need to play in that game, there's no need to go and push him and risk any further injury. So, yeah, him sitting out a full game makes it a little bit more worrying than it was. But, I mean, I'm hoping he's back. Even if he's not 100% healthy, I still think he plays, right? Like, there's nothing that stops that guy.
So, in this scenario, the Raptors have a 9% chance to sweep, and then basically 17% across the board to win in 5, 6, and 7 games. The Celtics, a 4% chance to sweep, 8% in game 5, 13 in the last 2 scenarios. So it's pretty surprising how favorable, because like I think this is honestly like a 50-50,
it's a toss-up.
55-45 like type matchup, maybe favoring the Raptors. But if you told me otherwise, I like the opposite, I would agree with you because I see both scenarios. I think Hayward being out is huge. If the Raptors want to win this series, I think their big men have to have a huge impact. Like Serge has to be huge against them. Mark has to be the same because straight up our big men are just better than them, including Siakam. Yeah. Like they have to dust them in that matchup because Boston's guards are tough. Like Kemba, I'm not the biggest Kemba fan, but like Kemba he has isolation scoring, and Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown might be my favorite player on the Celtics. Like I was big on Tatum, but like Jaylen Brown always makes big shots, and I'm just like, fuck off. Like,
where do they play Tatum? At the 3 or the 4?
So it's like a revolving door basically of it's Walker, Smart, Brown, Tatum, like, and then they all switch positions basically, like between the 2 and the 4.
Interesting.
So, yeah,
and then Cantor or Tice at the 5.
Tice at the 5, and then Cantor coming off the bench usually. Which like Tice was really good in the first game in the Raptors when in the bubble. So like we'll see because Siakam only played 2 games against them, and one of them was that blowout in the bubble, and then he didn't play on Christmas Day when they got smacked. I don't know. It's a close series. We'll see.
Celtics did just completely wipe the floor with the Sixers,
which
I don't think it's something to shake a stick at.
They didn't have. Everybody's gonna say, well, they didn't have Simmons, but
who on the outside of Embiid, who on the Sixers played good? And you can even say Embiid didn't play good.
Was that like more because the Sixers were bad, or is it just because Boston's so good?
I think it's the
maybe Sixers a combo of both.
It's both, but I also think that the Sixers were off. I think the Sixers talent, like who was shooting on that team? No one. Yeah, Shake Milton. Shake Milton and Alec Burks were more valuable than Tobias Harris, who you paid the max for.
Exactly.
So the fact that like this guy that you give the same amount of money that you should have gave to Jimmy Butler and had 0 impact on the entire series.
Even Josh Richardson, right? He was the guy they brought in.
Yeah, and he wasn't even one of their best players. The fact that Markelle Fultz had more made threes than Tobias Harris in the playoffs, that's sad. That's legitimately sad. So I think the Sixers is just LOL at that entire situation. But also the Celtics are good. Like,
Yeah.
I could see a scenario where they win the title this year.
Sure. They're deep.
Yeah.
They can play both sides of the court.
Young guys.
And yeah.
A part of me that is Kemba's known as like cardiac Kemba. He's like a clutch player.
Mm-hmm.
When is he proved it in the playoffs? Like that's my thing. Like
He's never been there.
He's never had the chance. That's the
He's
thing.
won 3 playoff games. Like, but that's what I mean. Like it's a little bit of a thing of like the Mike Trout situation that I was talking about.
Oh my! If that's a conversation you want to get into later,
yeah, we can talk about it later.
Okay.
I feel like we've had that conversation before, though.
I don't know if we did like that,
but he hasn't done it in the playoffs, and like he could absolutely do it this series.
Mm-hmm.
But it'll be interesting to see if he's affected by a guy like Van Fleet guarding him.
Yep.
Or Kyle,
or just that entire team.
Exactly.
In lockdown.
It's a top defense against a top defense, and the Celtics have a better offense, I think. But if the Raptors play their game, then they win.
It's going to be a really good series.
It's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Watch. It's
going to be a sweep.
Yeah. Yeah.